Okay, hello guys. Welcome to the last session for the unit test, theory and practice. So the idea for today, we want to see something first related with the mappers. The mappers are specific objects that allow create a new instance for another object with a similar structure. So the idea with the mappers to using into the test is allow that you can create different objects or transform different kind of objects into the code. So in this case, for example, I added a special request over the project that received an object called person request. And the idea is I didn't change the logic for the application, so I'm receiving a normal person. So if you can see, the only difference between those objects are that the first one hasn't the ID field, and the second one has the ID field as usually has. So what we can do, the first thing, let's suppose that I have to create a normal mapper. This is the normal mapper that we can create, and we can use it internally for the project. And after that, we can assign that to validate the content. Okay, so let me show you how we can do this. Let me change to here. And okay, hold on a second. I will come back to the original branch. Okay. Here, regarding with the other tests that we did it before, here I added something here in the controller. So the change that I did was create a new method. That's a little orthodox calling, because I'm not using I'm using a verb just only for this implementation, but the idea is try to don't use this kind of methods here. So what I'm receiving here, I'm receiving a person request that I can mention before. Here, but the internal method for the person service is using the same method at the same structure or the same object that was used before. So when I'm receiving this, I have to only these fields as normal. Okay. And when I want to testing this, the idea is just execute this operation at this thing. So here for the controller, okay, I will be added I need to add a new test. So this test is pretty similar to the test for the post. So I want to use it here. Okay. So at the end, I will be added here. And the idea with this is I want to use it here to change. So create, okay. And the same thing internally. But when I call it this, I'm calling it here person request, but the person request must be a person request object. So for this case, I need to create a modern builder. for this one. So as we can see the previous session, so let me move this. We need to create that once here. So I want to generate a new object for this one. So in this case, I need to create, first of all, a builder, and I call it person request builder. Okay. Here I have to change everything related with person request here. Okay, so let me do it. I want to change person by person request only this document. Okay, and now I need to reference this to the where are injected. Okay, so great. I have here that I have to remove this because I haven't the ID for this one. Okay, for the same site, I have to generate a new mother. So I come here. I want to change the mother name. Let's call it person request mother. Okay. Now for this thing, I have to do the same. Change person by person request in only the current document. And now reference the object. Okay, I need to remove the ID here. Okay. And here also. And then it. Okay, that's all that I have here. Back to here. So I have to say, okay, perfect. I want to create a person request mother. I'm here. And that's suppose that I have to call. I'm not sure that could be internally that is assigned. So for this I will be changed here. Is any this person, because internally is doing the change. I'm not passing directly, so I need to do this because when I executed this internally, you see, I'm creating a new instance for this one, so I cannot pass the same object here, so I can use it this. As usual, I come here and say, okay, perfect. Anything else here? Let me see. Okay, it's a return. That's okay. I think that's all. Let me check. Okay, I'm passing the person's request here and expecting a person with this ID because that's expected here, and I compare everything here. Okay, let me try. Okay. Oops. Let me see. Okay, perfect. I have something to change here. Okay, for the other side, I had to do a little change here because regular, the normal behavior to mapping some objects is used a special, the most common library is the auto mapper, And this library allows that you configure what is the way that you can map. So internally, I had to do some changes here. I create a profile here and say, okay, when do you want to map person request to person? You can use this map here. And also for the startup, I have to create here this configuration for the mapping regular things here. Okay. Okay, let me change it here because I need to add it before that's the creation for the other services, because the services are created here. Okay, regarding with this, with the controller, I suppose that I have to receive a mapper. Okay, and assigning the mapper here, and also when I do this, I create the mapper map person to person request. That's the thing that I'm doing here. So if I did this, that's suppose that I have to change my signature for my controller. So in this case, I need to do a little change here. You see, I have a different calling here. So the thing that I have to do here is pretty similar to the things that we're doing this way. So let me come here, and I need to do this mapper config and this code. I need to do this for the mapper. Okay, and here is for this mapper. And I need to create a private mapper as a mapper. Okay. Here, let me use auto mapper. Okay. And the mapping profile is from here. Okay, after that, I come here. I'm passing here the mapper this way. Okay, perfect. So that I guess that I have everything. Try again. Okay, so in this case, I'm passing the request. Okay. Here I'm receiving the person request. As you see, it's a normal thing. I haven't here the ID, and here I have to generate a new instance for this. Is a ID with 0, and when I return it here, I'm expecting the result. Okay, with the values internally. You see, I'm expecting this. Okay, so I have to these validations, and I can see, okay, that's everything's looks fine. Okay, but what is the idea with this? I'm doing this just only to create that kind of process here. But the idea is, please, the alpha mapper is a good and great mapping, but the process internally, as I mentioned, is what happens if I need to do this kind of mappings. Okay, I can say, okay, why don't adding auto mapper here for this kind of operation could be pretty simple. Okay, that's maybe doesn't need it. But if you want to mapping some kind of objects, so the idea is you have to create your own mappers internally. So when do you do this? I need to add here my own mappers. Okay. And I can use the auto mapper also. But in the first place, I want to add in manual mapping here, person mapper. Okay, as we have here. Okay, person mapper, person request mapper. Sorry, because the idea is mapper from the request to the sorry, to the person. Okay, the person request mapper. Okay, perfect. Yep. So in my case is a public static class, and internally I'm adding this map. So let me, I guess that I have that was created here. Yeah, it's the request mapper. Okay. Then in this case, I have it here, and I'm mapping. Okay, let me reference these entities. And this request. Okay. So in this case, the idea is when I need to do some kind of these operations, I can do something similar like this. I can not use this, for example. And I can say, okay, but bar person expected. You say bar person expected equals our person request. Because I add in this implementation as extension, you see, I'm using this person request. So I can do this person request dot to person. Okay. And here I'm adding the mapper. And after that, I can say, okay, perfect. I can add in the ID equal ID. Okay. So in this case, I'm assigned this mapping object directly to the expected, and I add in this. So that's the way that when do you want to do some kind of operation, remember this is an example. As you see, if I use it the person model, I don't need this. But sometimes, for example, you need to receive a specific data from other system, and do you want to map that that kind of map of information directly to the other object and assign it? Okay, so maybe the model could be no help in this case. So if you do this, you can use the mappers to assign this. Okay, so let me try to test again. Excuse me. What we can do here? Okay, let me go inside. I come here again. You see, I'm returning the person requests. Okay, and that's supposed that I have to receive what is the result. Let me check. This was okay. And the response that's internally, okay, I'm receiving that the thing as expected. Okay. Here, I think that's maybe that was new because that's not was clarified the previous session. You cannot execute multiple asserts as one assert when I'm doing the same. Okay, I'm here, like I mentioned before, I'm validating the data. remember that before add this, for example, here I only validating the structure. Okay, I'm here. I'm only validating. I'm validating the structure and the data. I want to be sure that the data is exactly the data that I am expected. Okay. Here that was okay. Voila. That's everything that we can do here. And now the idea is, okay, that was so simple. But what happened when, for now, it's simple because you only have 4 fields, okay? But what happened when you have many fields, or that's stronger? That's the thing is that's maybe you need to use a real mapper, not could be alpha mapper, but I want to share with you another kind of mapper that really helps for me. Okay, I want to present to you the Mapster mapper. This is a library, free library. As you can see, compared with the alpha mapper and the other mappers, is regular, is more or less from since 3 to 6 times faster than the others. So, for example, if you use here AutoMapper, normal in milliseconds is validating one by one field. You can see that AutoMapper is taking 420.87 milliseconds, and Mapster normal using 108.59 milliseconds. So you can see is similar to 4,000 faster than AutoMapper. So my suggestion is, and in the memory, for example, not only with the time and the processor, the other thing is more or less 3 times also to in allocation memory. So if you see, that's a good library that you can implement using a different library for that. You have to be keep it in mind that the unit test must be executed faster. Okay, that's if you want to that a test could be useful. First of all, you need to cover the most kind of code possible. Okay, that's the code coverage. And the other one, you need to execute the most of tests so fast as you can. Okay, so if you maybe use AutoMapper, that's you know this could be milliseconds, but in the memory you are allocating many of those. So a good idea could be use Mapster instead of AutoMapper. Okay, and how this library works? This is pretty simple. You see, just only create the Mapster reference, and you only have to say, okay, adapt, and this works as extension also for this. Okay, how we can do this? So at the same way that I did before, I want to only first of all add into my library. In this case, I want to add Mapster. Okay. Mapster is this one. And the only thing that I need to do in my code is come to my library, my mapper in this case, and I need to replace this. Okay. Let's come here, and I'm doing this, and internally I need to at the mapser for this way. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm doing that here. Well, okay, perfect. So in this case, that's I want to map. So let me do a test again. So we will put here a breakpoint. And when I run it, the tester here on executing this operation, let me show you what happened. So internally, I'm doing this operation. I'm receiving the normal person request, okay, without that components. And the idea is when I do the mapper, okay, that's working fine. If you see, it's pretty simple to use, okay. I'm here, I will be complete everything, okay. That was okay, and boom, that's pretty fast to validate that, execute that mapping in this case. Okay. Well, that's the thing related with the mappers. The other topic for today, and the last topic, is how to use the compares. And what means the compares? So the idea with the compares is try to execute some kind of logic that's allowed to you validate if two objects are equals or similar. When I say similar, depends of the structure of the object. Because if you have an object that's for you is pretty complex, you say, okay, they have many fields, you have to establish a set or a group or fields that you consider that's enough to compare, and you can say, okay, this is enough to say this object is similar to the other object, okay? Or if you want to compare exactly, you want to use only the equals validation. So using this, I want to introduce you this class. So I did this implementation for this class basing off a generic class that I found, and I did a little changes over here. So the idea with this class is allow you create a generic compare between two objects. Okay, and if you have objects with this kind of a structure, that's a pretty simple objects, the comparison is pretty fast, and maybe you don't really need it, this kind of generic compare, because the generic compare is allowing to do the comparison between two complex objects. It is possible to do with the simple objects, but if you see in the other one, the thing is that you can compare directly one object equals to the other object. Okay, so when I do this, the idea with the generic compare is execute the equals comparison. Okay, and in this case is doing the comparison for both internally and to do this as pretty simple, validate that. But the other case, that's better to know. What happens if you need to compare a list? Okay, with the list comparison, that's maybe different. So in that case, maybe you need to do something like this, create a person compare. Okay, and you can say, okay, I want to create a generic compare. based on person and compare two objects. And the comparison that you want to do is to create a generic compare, okay, over the fields that you think that's enough to do the objects are equals. So in this case, as I mentioned before, this is a simple object. That means that internally hasn't other objects. It's only primary fields or strings, datetime, boolean, or something like that. That's a simple object. But internally, if you have other objects, you have to define here how all those fields are enough to say, okay, one object is similar to the other object, and you can say, okay, for me is both objects are equals. Okay, great. So how we can do this? For to do this, I need to create a compare. So first of all, I need to import my generic compare library. So I want to come here, create compares. Okay. I will become with my library. What is it? It's here. I put it here. Okay. And now let me change my namespace name. Okay. Okay. Here's compares. Okay, perfect. So now I have this library here. And now I need to create my compare. So I need to add a new class. So in this case, I want to create person compare. Okay. And this is a public class. Okay. Sorry. Here I want to create a public static generate compare. Okay, for person. Okay, method is compare. Okay. What's supposed to have to do here? Here, in the reference first. Okay, so return a new generate compare person. Okay, but internally, I have to, let me check what I have, this difference. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Okay, parenthesis from this value. Okay, this is an expression here. So here I say, okay, so generate compare from X as internally. I need to add the fields. That's enough for me. So in this case, it's the first name dot last name dot date of birth. The date of birth. Sex. Okay, let me reorder this one first. Okay. So now, how we can do now? So the idea is use this generic compare as a new compare for both. Okay. So when I need to do this, it could be static. Great. So when I need to do this, for example, just only to compare two special objects, because I'm using a generic compare here. So the only need to do is, for example, in this case, let me close a little things here. Okay, builder, I'm working over this. Profile, that's for that one. This is for the other thing. Okay, that was for the mapper. That was okay. Break. Remove the breakpoint. Okay, I'm here. Okay, perfect. So as you see, I can to do this validation here because are totally equal both objects. But the problem that I had here is what happened if you, for example, change everything in memory. Say, okay, response dot ID equal 10. Okay, so what happened in this case? So let me run it and let me show you what happened. Okay. Excuse me. Okay, excuse me. Okay, well, let me see what happened here. So when I'm receiving this, okay, expected value for this. What? Oh, okay, that wasn't okay. You see, is ID is 13. For this one, it's 13. But what happened when I do this? Look at now. It's 10. You see? So the problem is that internally, because I'm executing this as a normal context, if you are change this object, the other object is a reference object. So that things happens. So that's not change. Okay, so in this case, I can say, okay, the object may be equal, but in a normal behavior, this not happen. Okay, this is happen because I'm mapping here this kind of objects. So if I do some testing internally for the create, and that is not, if internally I change some fields here, that's suppose that I have to do that. So in this case, for example, I can say, okay, what happened if you come here, okay, and say bar person response, okay, and I create, for example, here new. Oh no, I can use the mother like this. Okay, I can use a new one, create a new one. Okay, I'm passing here, for example, 10. Okay, and what happened if I want to validate that both fields are equal. So if I do this, for example, okay, I'm supposing that's our difference, okay, because this is totally different for both, okay. But exists another way that you can do this, is using a internally compared. So in this case, you can say, okay, it's true. And you can say, okay, perfect. It's true what? You can use person compare. Person compare. Okay. Adding compares. That equals. And I can say, okay, person responds as person expected. Okay. And with this, I'm creating an object for person compare, and internally I'm using this validation to compare both objects. Okay. So when I run this, let me see what happened. I'm expecting that both are different. You see, it's generating an error. You can see that was expected true, but was false because that's different. Okay, but if I do this and ID, okay, and I run it again, okay. Oops. Let's suppose that I have an error also. Okay, let me check what happened here. I'm generating a new expected result. Okay. That was different. So what? Let me see, a new. Oh, let me check something. I guess that I have something weird here. Okay, let me do something. I have the same test. Okay, let me update here. Maybe I'm missing something. Let me see the branch with the same exercise. Okay, for mappers. Okay. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I'm doing this equal person compare. Yeah, I'm doing this. Okay, let me try again. Okay. Yeah, that's failing. That was okay. And if I pass the same ID, let me check. What? Oops. I don't know what happened. Okay, that's maybe I'm doing something wrong in the other comparison here internally, or maybe I'm not calling the right way this comparison. So let me take a look over that later. I want to complete this first. Okay, let's suppose that I have to validate that operations internally. Okay, so the idea with this, if when do you execute this comparison, I need to validate that both are equal. Okay, so in that case, for example, the idea is that you have to execute this validation internally for this, and maybe I'm not executing well or creating these things well. Okay. So for the other side, the real important comparison that I mentioned before is something related with this. Okay. So what happened when do you want to compare not only once, if you want to compare many records or rows over that kind of process. So in this case, I did a change here, and internally, I can add this kind of operation, for example, and I'm doing this. When I receive, for example, here, remember that I'm receiving 3 elements in this. Here, I'm validating that I want to receive that. And the special thing that I to do here is I want to add that validation from this one to the validation that you have here. So I have to use the normal response uses sequence equals with the person expected, that's the list that you are expected here, and use the person compare and compare. So with both here, for each element that you come here in person expected, compare with the same side by side, the same element for this one. So when you execute this, the idea is that you must run. And in this case, you can run it locally. Okay. And here, do you have 3 elements? You see? Here in the result for the response, you have the same 3 elements. So the idea is this comparison, execute one by one, position by position, okay? And internally, field by field, okay? Field by field, each of those. And the idea with this only sentence is that you can compare both lists using this generic compare. So with this, let's suppose that are equal, and you can say, okay, both are okay. So that's the way that you can validate. So let me check for the other project that we have, as maybe I'm doing something wrong on the implementation for this compare. I think that I'm doing something wrong. Yeah, okay, this is the mapper. The compares that we have here, for example, we are comparing this. Okay. Here, I'm using, okay. Yeah, using the compare, that was okay. Oh, let me see. I guess that yeah. No. Okay. I guess that was okay if no, it was not static. Yeah. Let me come back here. Yeah, because I really need is a new. That's not a new. is this new person compare. Yeah. This equals internally. I'm receiving I don't remember how to do that. I need to review my documentation. Oh, maybe. Okay, hold on a second. I have these things here. The testings. Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay. That is the way. That's It's a new generic compare. Yeah. I need to create this. Okay. So in this case, I need to create this generic compare, and both is equal. Generic compare equals both sides. Okay. Okay, and this is the same that I'm doing for compare. Let me check. That's maybe I'm doing wrong. I want to validate. Okay. So in this case, it must be this dot check our compare equals new person compare dot no, because static class dot compare. Okay, so with this, say compare equals. Okay. Something there. Okay, let me check again. I want to validate that's. If not, I have something wrong. Okay. Let me check. Okay, perfect. Yeah, that was a bad implementation for this one. Yeah, I creating the compare, and yep, that's working fine. That's because I'm using most of this not for one element, because obviously you can do this validation here in a normal way, just as a simple objects. But when do you receive that kind of comparisons, the idea is pretty useful when do you want to compare two lists at this site. Okay. Okay, guys, questions until here? No. Okay, that's all that I have to share with you guys. Sorry?
No, it's okay.
Okay, guys, that's all for right now. Thanks to everybody to participate in these sessions. So I will be sharing with you these materials, and you can find all the exercise on the repo, and you can take a look over that later, and I will be sent to you through the chat or the email the links that maybe you can take a look over the others recordings. Okay, guys, that's all for today.
Thank you so much.
That's all for the course also too.
Thanks a lot. See you.
Thank you, Julio. Well, I have an idea. Maybe for a future session, we can start with integration tests.
Oh,
because here we're doing unit testing, but it is good to know how to create the structure to make integration tests. Because when I did integration test, that involves using a test database. So you need to make your startup to create that database, to fill it with some temporary data, and to compare the database calls and everything. I think that's a bit. Well, you need to do more things to get your integration test running.
Okay, yeah, we can prepare another session for integration tests. That's maybe we need to validate, for example, something calling what happens if you need to call in an external database, or what happens if you need to call an external API. How you can
exactly, because
mock in that kind.
For example, here with our project, maybe we can do some integration tests with the GoWin API. So we don't need to run it manually. We can just, okay, the API works this way, and we can test this when I synchronize one opportunity or multiple opportunities. So I think that will be good.
Yeah, we can prepare some another session for what means integration testings, and how we can mock in, for example, that kind of operation using database in memory, for example, could be that one. Other thing that could be use WireMock. That's an interceptor for external calls. We use correlator logging. That's you can validate the logging that was generated to some calls. That's maybe you can validate. That could be a good idea. Validate that kind of session. But for right now, that's all that I have to share with you guys over the unit testings. I'm expecting that you learn a little bit more, and that was useful for you. That's all for right now. Thanks everybody to join us. We can see you later. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.